Good afternoon or evening, whichever time I end up posting this, and welcome. This is episode 11. I am Bree from fearmeitsbre on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm not sure how to introduce myself. Every time I just feel kind of awkward. I bring up my handle, fearmeitsbre. I've been calling this fearmeitsbre podcast and blog, but I feel like it needs a name other than my Instagram handle. So if anyone has any suggestions, I would not mind them being thrown at me. I will also probably be taking sips of my coffee every now and then because it's Monday, and not to be stereotypical, but Mondays are kind of our get back into routine day, and I have a hard time with Mondays. I'm a mom, so getting back into the routine from the weekend is kind of crazy. It's hard, and it's kind of my day to not do something like this, but I don't think I'm going to be available tomorrow, and I don't think I'm going to be available on Wednesday either. So in order to get more than one video out this week, I ended up needing to record on Monday. So I'm going to record today. I probably will do an episode on Thursday, hopefully, God willing. I say that, and now just because I've set that expectation, it won't happen. But I would like to do one on Thursday, probably play a little catch up on the days that I missed. And I'm talking kind of fast because this is my second cup of coffee, which I'm sorry, I will be taking sips of. I'll try not to make, however Crowder opens up his episodes where he's just sipping the coffee. I'll try not to do that into the microphone because that's not pleasant. I'm not even sure how to drink this right now. The way my microphone is very just awkward for oh, I need a drink of water. I'm drinking coffee. Again, if you go to your local Walmart, hopefully they have it. But the creamer that I have is that Chobani one. And it's white chocolate raspberry, and it is so good. But you do have to like sweet things, or you probably will go. So, anyway, it's a Monday. As you can tell, I am a lot less put together. It is what it is to get this out, right? And my lighting is probably, I don't know, it's probably the worst I've had it. But I do kind of like this. It kind of has me in a lock of temptation and debate. No, I'm not going to go dye my hair purple, so don't worry. But I kind of want to, just momentarily. I'm sure it'll pass when I'm done with this because my hair won't be in purple lighting anymore, so it won't look purple, so I won't have that temptation right in front of my eyes. But in a way, this looks kind of fun, right? Maybe I could, add something to the bottom. I don't know. If anything, I might put blonde highlights back in it, but I haven't decided on that yet. So, today I'm going to look at some articles that... Obviously, nothing has gone anywhere with the Trump indictment. I don't know why we're still talking about it other than just to stay updated that, nothing's going on. I don't think anything will go on with it. Trump made, oh gosh, let's see, how much did he make? I can't remember off the top of my head. How much did Trump make? All right. Since Trump announced I might be arrested on Tuesday, he made $1.5 million in 3 days toward his campaign. So it definitely looks like it was a publicity stunt. Or at least if it wasn't a publicity stunt and it wasn't just him trying to do something, he found information, realized, hey, this will probably get me donations because it will make my supporters angry and they'll be willing to donate more. Let's run with it and see what happens. So it looks like it just was a money-making scheme. I don't think anything's going to come of it. I guess he had a rally in Waco where he talked about the indictment and stuff. So maybe we'll look at that. I didn't pull up that article. It's a USA Today article. I didn't actually pull it up. Maybe we'll look at it. Maybe we won't. I can't tell if it's even relevant at this point anymore. I'm not really interested in the Trump stuff other than just oh, hey, if he gets arrested, that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Other than that, I'm not really that interested in the updates other than, oh, surprise, nothing's happened. I'm also going to pull up an article from the Daily Caller about crap, I can't remember his name. This is how much I care about Marvel now. But Marvel's leading actor, the guy that played Kang in Loki, Ant-Man. Was he in Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness? I honestly don't remember. I feel like he was, but I don't remember. But anyway, he was charged or arrested at least on charges of assault and strangulation of a 30-year-old woman. So I don't know if maybe it's false accusations. Maybe it really happened. I don't know if it's going to affect Marvel because it doesn't look very good if that's one of your front-running stars. So we'll see where that, the information on that. We are going to look at an MSNBC article on the Trump indictment just because MSNBC is good for a laugh. They're not to be taken seriously. We're going to look at a Daily Caller article about Matt Taibi, who leaked the Twitter files talking about free speech in America. And I have another topic I thought about bringing up. It's a tweet, and I don't even want to say what it is because it's very dark and it's very depressing. And it's a reminder of just the utter decay and state of our country. And depending on how, I don't know, this episode might end up feeling very lighthearted. And I mean, we're talking about potential assault. I guess it's not fun, but like, depending on how the tone of this episode goes, I don't know if I want to go there and go into the darker recesses of the news cycle. So I may or may not pull up my last thing. I might see something I'm more interested in instead that I'll pull up and talk about, but it just depends. It just depends on how this goes and how long it goes for time. I may not even have time to squeeze it in. So like I said, I'm kind of just all over the place today. But first of all, I would like to point out that it is Quentin Tarantino's birthday. I enjoy Quentin Tarantino's films. I'm just going to pull up I want to open a new tab. Why is it not giving me that option? I guess it won't take me long to get back to my articles. It is his birthday today. He is, I saw somewhere down here, 60. He's 60 years old. Supposedly he's announced his last film, or he's going to be making his last film or something like that pretty soon. So happy 60th birthday to Quentin Tarantino, I suppose. Pulp Fiction was fun. I enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a lot. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was a cool twist on the Charles Manson, Sharon Tate story, which I knew the story already because I just, I look into things like that, and I was very surprised with how the direction that they took it in and the things that they changed for the sake of the movie. And I thought it was pretty well done. Yeah. Reservoir Dogs was weird. It was his first movie, and the reason I guess that it has no soundtrack is he had a very specific song he wanted to play in a very specific scene. So he put all of his music budget into that song to have that song during that scene. So it's a very oddly paced movie, I feel like. I watched it once and I don't know that I'll watch it again. It was very uncomfortable as well. But anyway, he is a genius. He comes up with some great stuff. So yeah, happy birthday to Quentin Tarantino. And now I gotta get back to all the stuff I had pulled up, so give me a second. Since I have my computer screen zoomed in for better viewing on this little screen here that I'm on, some of my Twitter options are hidden, so I'm trying to find my bookmarks to get back to that. All bookmarks, utter stupidity. That's the file that I have just articles and things that I choose to look at is utter stupidity. Just because I'm funny like that. Probably not funny to anyone but me, honestly. So I guess we'll start with the Daily Caller, and we'll start with the article from Marvel, about Marvel. Jeez, I'm not good today, am I? All right. Marvel leading actor has been arrested on charges of assault and strangulation. One of Marvel's leading actors has found himself in hot water after being arrested this week on serious charges, according to reports. Jonathan Majors, that's his name. Jonathan Majors, star of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Creed 3, was arrested this weekend on charges of assault, strangulation, and harassment. Reports claim that the 33-year-old Majors assaulted an unnamed 30-year-old woman in a domestic dispute. The acclaimed actor allegedly assaulted the unnamed woman in a New York City residence in the Chelsea neighborhood. Police responded to the alleged dispute around 11 a.m. Majors' representatives released a statement denying the allegations and claiming the actor's name would soon be cleared. "He's done nothing wrong. We look forward to clearing his name and clearing this up," his representatives wrote in a statement to... That's weird. In a statement to something, I guess. Jonathan Majors is widely considered to be one of Hollywood's newest superstars. The actor plays Kang, the current villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He also starred in Creed 3, which opened to $100 million at the box office. His performance in HBO's Lovecraft Country and A24's The Last Black Man in San Francisco were critically acclaimed. So that's really quick. There's not much to that. Just that's happened. We'll see what comes of it. Will it affect Marvel? Will Kang be recast? I don't know. I don't know either if there's going to be any more Creed movies. I hope not, because I have not seen them, admittedly. I've seen Rocky. I love Rocky 4. Apparently, it's like the lowest rated one except for the 6th one. It is my favorite one, and it has always been my favorite one. What's his name? Dolph somebody, the Russian guy in it. He's fantastic. Obviously, Sylvester Stallone is fantastic. And I just love the way that movie goes. The soundtrack is amazing. And just growing up, it was always my favorite Rocky movie. Creed I have not seen yet. I think we own the first two, and we still haven't even watched them yet. But we want to have a marathon soon and just rewatch all of the Rocky movies and watch Creed. But I did hear that Sylvester Stallone says that he will not watch Creed 3 because he just felt like it was a money grab and that it was trash. So I'm a little nervous about that because Sylvester Stallone seems like he has okay judgment with things like that, especially something that he was that bigly involved in. Bigly? Is that? No, probably not, but kind of makes me nervous about it because I enjoy Sylvester Stallone's work, and if he says it's not good, then I'm gonna say it might not be that good. Marvel also has been failing like crazy. Everything they have done has either been terrible, nobody's liked it. So I liked Kang I didn't like him in Loki. I really thought he was just too charismatic. Not charismatic isn't the right word. He was very just like not what I was expecting, but it makes sense when you go with the story, I guess. And he was like, "Oh, I'm not the bad Kang, I'm the good Kang, and I'm keeping all the bad ones at bay." And then obviously when he dies, spoilers, sorry, and the multiverse breaks or whatever, and all the other Kangs that wanted to conquer the world have been released from this void or whatever. Okay, now it's gonna be a scary bad guy, I guess. But I thought the actor was okay. I haven't really seen him in anything else, so he's supposed to be the new big bad, I guess, so that would be annoying if they had to recast that. And this morning, I actually just shared a tweet about Endgame and how the trailer, I think, was released 4 years ago today, and how that is genuinely the last Marvel movie I was excited for. After that, the franchise died for me. I saw Black Widow. I thought it was great. I actually really enjoyed it. I was very surprised by it. I loved the opening, and I loved how they had the Nirvana song, but like that cover of it, and it just fit the scene so well. I thought it was one of the best openings in Marvel. Wow. I need to drink something because my voice just is not working today. I thought that the opening for Black Widow was one of the best openings Marvel has had. My husband disagrees with me, but I loved it. I wasn't excited for the movie, but I was pleasantly surprised for the movie. Spider-Man, No Way Home. I had fun watching it. I thought it was great. The plot was trash because it doesn't make any sense if you try and actually break it down, but I wasn't necessarily excited for it. I saw it in theaters, and that's the only time I saw it, and I had fun watching it. But again, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this movie, like I was with Endgame, because that 10-year Marvel arc that ended with Endgame, that's a funny way to say that, but you know what I mean, just that was the cutoff for me. Anything after that, I've just been kind of like meh toward. And I actually have a really big problem with No Way Home because one of the things that drives me nuts and is a plot hole is the after credit scene of who's that actor? He plays Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. He's in Mad Max Fury Road. Why can I not think of his name? Oh my gosh. Tom Hardy. So Tom Hardy, his Venom character, obviously they're not going to bring in the Venom from Spider-Man 3 because nobody would be happy with that. They had Tom Hardy's Venom in a post-credit scene where he got dragged into Tom Holland's Spider-Man's universe because whatever the spell was, everybody who knew he was Spider-Man ended up showing up there, all the villains, to fight him. Or who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, at least. Tom Hardy's Venom didn't have a Spider-Man in his movie. He didn't know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. And he just shows up in the universe and is all like, oh, why am I here? Who's this Spider-Man? What is all this? And then once the spell gets fixed and put back in place, he gets sent back to his universe. And that doesn't make any sense because the point is all the villains who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man come to this universe. This villain did not know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So anyway, that's just a dumb beef I have with it. But whatever. Marvel is dying and I don't think that they can recover. It's really sad. So yeah, we'll see if that story goes anywhere. It would be great if they were like, oh, they were false charges and whatever, we'll resume filming. But I don't know. It's not a good look to keep your main actor if, you know. But then again, DC's keeping Ezra Miller, so I don't know anymore. I don't know what the standard is anymore in Hollywood for what's bad and what's not bad. So that was an interesting one to me. It was a quick one. Most of these are pretty, like, they're not super long articles or anything. I'm hoping to kind of not take too long with this today. I already feel like I've rambled a lot. We'll see. I think the next thing I'm going to jump to is the Matt Taibbi article, the Daily Caller one, just because that's a short one too. Because I found it interesting. Something very dramatic has changed. Matt Taibbi says Democrats have ditched free speech. And we have known that for a while, actually. Not at all a surprise. It doesn't feel like a big thing. This article was from yesterday. Twitter Files journalist, so he released all of those Twitter files on Twitter where it talked about the censorship during the 2020 elections and beyond and around and COVID and all of that fun stuff. Supposedly there's a Fauci files coming out, but we have yet to see that. Twitter Files journalist Matt Taibbi believes Democrats have abandoned their support of free speech based on the response to the release of a series of internal Twitter documents related to censorship and prominent account restrictions. Taibi appeared on Fox News' Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Barramimo. I don't watch Fox News, so sorry I'm butchering the name. Taibi appeared on Fox, and was asked how Democrats reacted to the Twitter Files revelations. About all of this, Matt, how do you feel about all of this? I know before you started discovering this bad behavior, you identified as a Democrat, and now you've got all of your friends, quote, unquote, in the media attacking you for exposing this, Barcharimo asked. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I was raised in a traditional ACLU liberal. I believe in free speech all my life. That was one of the things, frankly, that attracted me to the Democratic Party when I was a kid. The idea that we were the party that believed in letting everybody have a say and we'll just make a better argument, and that's how the system works, Taibi said. Apparently, something very dramatic has changed in politics in America, and there's been a shift. There's been no question about it anymore now that the parties have a complete reversal on how they read the issues. Taibi led the team of journalists who reported on the inner workings of Twitter and how government agencies pressured the platform to censor content online. They were criticized as so-called journalists and accused of cherry-picking information by Democrats during a congressional hearing about the Twitter Files. Taibi was known for his long career with Rolling Stone before he moved to Substack. He's written multiple New York Times bestsellers and won the 2008 National Magazine Award for columns and commentary. That was very funny. In the trial, or the hearing, the Democratic lawmaker called him a so-called journalist and was very rude. And he was like, lady, I am an actual journalist. This is what I've been doing for years. Here's the books I wrote. And basically, you know, he put her in her place because he was like, what do you mean I'm a so-called journalist? So that was fun. I'm not going to play the video, actually. It's just kind of old news at this point. I keep getting weird ads. But yeah, that's interesting about the Matt Taibbi stuff. He definitely isn't like right wing or anything like that, but it definitely makes me appreciate when people can be on different sides and still recognize that we have a problem here, like with free speech. And interestingly enough, how he said that the parties have almost flipped, where most of the Democrat party's like, well, you got to censor disinformation, misinformation. People shouldn't just be allowed to speak online. What I'm doing right now apparently shouldn't be allowed. Only real journalists can tell us information, and they just want to keep things into a narrative box that only they can open and only they can decide what to put into and what to take out of. And I find it interesting talking about this party shift and switch, where it's very similar to how they kind of portray the Civil War, where they talk about how the Democrats were the good guys now and the Republicans were the angry old slaveholders. And it's like, no, actually, that's not how that went. And they try and reverse things. Or, I lost my train of thought. But it's interesting to see in the future to come whether or not this party switch will be acknowledged, where 50 years from now, if historians will agree with Matt Taibbi and say, yep, Democrats definitely were pushing back on free speech and didn't want to allow free speech, but Republicans did, or if they're going to try and flip that, like with the Civil War, and be like, no, those Republicans, those MAGA Republicans, they always want to take away your free speech and your rights to this and that, while the Democrats just cried and bled and fought for them. And I just don't know anymore. It's too hard. And I think as America progresses and as information progresses, unfortunately, we're going to have deep fakes. We're going to have AI generated stuff. Wow. Okay. We have all these AI generated images of the Trump arrest, which didn't happen. And it's kind of funny because some people were sharing them and being like, oh my gosh, he got arrested. And like, some people believed them, and it was kind of just funny because it was like, how dumb are you? But anyway, some of them are convincing, some of them are not. So like, you've got ones like, oh my gosh, why did you make it so tiny? Like that one, right? It looks like Trump is running from the police. Like, that is an AI generated image. All you had to do was type in Donald Trump being arrested. There's one there. They're all showing up so tiny, but like, there's one there. That one you can tell is a fake. There's these ones. It's just, you could AI generate anything at this point. It's ridiculous. So it's going to be so hard to tell fact from fiction in the coming days. And then the deep fakes. There's a deep fake of Alvin Bragg being like, I drop all charges against Donald Trump, and Jack Posobiec said some mean words to me, and rah, 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 rah. And it, like, you can tell there's things off about it, but people believe it. People believe these things. They don't know any better because they see a video of somebody on here saying something, and they're like, oh, well, it's a video. I saw it. I heard the audio. Obviously, like, that's what they said. No, that was a deep fake. Like, it's just crazy. So, who knows what we're going to be able to believe, especially as history gets rewritten, changed, and squished to fit a specific boxed narrative like I mentioned. So, I thought that was interesting. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. Like I said, today's kind of a funky day for me. Bookmarks, utter stupidity. I am going to hop over to the MSNBC article. Again, about the Trump indictment. That was published March 20th, so I might not actually read the whole thing because at this point it's kind of old news. The GOP's strategy for protecting Trump, target the prosecutors. I just thought some of the wording was funny, so I might just like peek at a few things in it. After former President Donald Trump's public speculation he'll be arrested Tuesday in a hush money scheme, Republicans showed they've embraced a dubious strategy, seemingly intent on helping Trump and others elude accountability. The Trump protection racket is effective. I'm going to be weird and read it with an accent, I guess. On Saturday morning, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy referred to a Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who would lead a potential Trump indictment in New York, as a radical DA who lets violent criminals walk. The Kevin McCarthy tweet reads, "Here we go again, an outrageous abuse of power by a radical DA who lets violent criminals walk as he pursues political vengeance against President Trump. I'm directing relevant committees to immediately investigate if federal funds are being used to subvert our democracy." So, like, you know, it goes on. That's rich coming from McCarthy, who's Bakersfield area district in California records more violent crime than any major U.S. cities. The issue of crime and corruption in Bakersfield is so bad that when it was the subject of a Hulu docuseries produced by Colin Kaepernick, the NFL quarterback turned activist. And as my colleague Hayes Brown explained well Saturday, McCarthy and federal officials barely have any power to influence local prosecutors. The House Speaker would do well to read a handbook on his legislative powers. Maybe he misread orientations. So, like, I can't not read this in a ridiculous tone because it's dumb as heck. It's dumber than a box of rocks. Nonetheless, McCarthy wasn't alone in the attempted deflection. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana joined McCarthy, falsely claiming that Bragg refused to prosecute violent criminals and whining that the DA is engaged in a political vendetta against Trump. I mean, that's really what it looks like. I don't really see any other reason for this. Former Vice President and White House whipping boy Mike Pence sounded on a similar note. I'm not a fan of Mike Pence, but I just think that some of the stuff they have against him is also really stupid. At a time where there is a crime wave in New York City, the fact that the Manhattan DA thinks indicting Trump sits on his top priority just tells you everything we need to know about the radical left in this country, Pence said in a Sunday interview. Notice the ... where they conveniently left out probably like an entire paragraph because they wanted to frame it a certain way. The claims about Bragg resemble an allegation from Republicans in Georgia where legislators have taken steps that could hamstring prosecutors who don't pursue investigations that align with GOP wishes. One bill would make it easier to recall district attorneys, such as Fulton County's Fannie Willis, who is investigating Trump's pressure effort to overturn the Georgia results in the 2020 presidential election, and would create another state commission with the power to remove a local prosecutor. So this is just all so dumb. I'm kind of tired of it, really. It's just I'm not even going to go any further. All of this tells you everything you need to know about the Republican Party's pro-Trump protection racket. When they don't like how the game is going, they attack the referees. How about all the times you've attacked Trump for bullcrap stuff? I don't like Trump, but I can call bull. I know when it's dumb. I know when it's pointless. I know when it's ridiculous. MSNBC always makes me laugh. I can't believe people use it as actual news. Like, yes, I'm sitting here and I'm giving you my opinion on things, but MSNBC is literally only opinion pieces. It's all opinions of this is what's going on, and it's like, no, it's not, dude. You are just very angry for some reason at these people, so you are choosing to hash at them and you're choosing to put your opinions in there. And yes, I'll sit here and I will get passionate about things. What was it I ranted about the other day? Saudi Arabia and stuff, and I definitely was giving an opinion. But I don't lie about stuff. I don't stretch the truth. I don't take quotes and chop them up to make them fit my little narrative. Again, if you watch MSNBC, no offense, like, I'm not trying to say that you don't have intellect or anything, but just be careful about how much mainstream news media that you are consuming, because it is all rage clickbait. It is all emotional bait. I look at some of it just to see what people are saying. I try and get as like centrist as I can with my research and my news articles, and I try and find things that aren't totally right wing and aren't totally left wing, but sometimes you kind of just have to take the two and smush them together and make up your own conclusion from that, because both sides are going to be incredibly biased and not give each other grace, and journalism has turned into opinionism, so there really is no good here are the straight up facts, straight up fact. Yeah, okay, Vanilla Ice. There is none of that anymore. It's really hard to find that. And I'm seeing a really bad lag in my video feed down here, so I'm really hoping this does not destroy the video. We'll see though. So anyway, probably that was dumb, me even bringing that article up and looking at it, but I just figured I would because I thought it was interesting. I'm gonna stop it. Okay, one thing I thought was interesting that I forgot to bring up in the intro is I've been seeing the hashtag boycott New Zealand, and I've been thinking like, whoa, what's going on in New Zealand? I don't really pay attention to New Zealand's news, and apparently there is a how do they word it? There's a woman who is I'd say that she's a feminist activist. I know nothing about her. I've never heard of her until now. I've never anything. Her name is Kelly J. Keen Minshall. She goes by Posie Parker. And I am sure that there are a lot of things that she and I would disagree on, because she seems like she is an avid feminist and I am not a feminist. I definitely am not a feminist. Anyone who looks at my Twitter has seen my rants. Anyone who looks at Twitter has seen me make snide comments about repealing the 19th. I got in trouble for that recently on Instagram, like a few months back. That was a lot of fun. And I'm not going to go into that because it's a long, detailed explanation. And I realized my Instagram post about it was very nuanced and probably needed a better explanation than I had posted because of the traction that it got. I have very valid reasons for it, but it's just one of those things you can't just post and walk away from, because you're going to stir up stuff. And normally the intent of posting it is to stir up stuff. I just did not realize how much stuff it would stir up. So, what was her? Posie Parker. So again, I'm sure she and I disagree on so much because she is a feminist and I am not a feminist. However, one thing that I like about her, if I click on her, I'm going to just hop over to Twitter screen for a second. Right in her bio, woman, adult, human, female. And I Googled her, and on Google, she's considered an anti-trans activist. They don't call her a feminist. They don't call her this, like in all these headlines. It's just anti-trans activist, anti-trans this. And I find that interesting because I'm like, yes, she's against transgender people taking over women's spaces and sports and things like that. She doesn't want them in bathrooms with women because what have we seen? We have seen a track record of the R word happening because a transgender man has been allowed into a women's bathroom and has his way with the hens, so to speak. Prisons where transgender inmates have said, I identify as female. I want to go to an all-women's prison. And then we have prison pregnancies because, again, the fox has been let loose with the hens. So she's very much against all this. And while I'm sure I don't agree with a lot of her stuff, I think that this is definitely an interesting talking point that she's painted very negatively as anti-trans, anti-this, when really she's a warrior, it seems, for women's rights in that sense of women should not have to share these spaces with men. Women are women. Women do not have penises. Women are not something that you can dress up as, pretend to be as, and be one. It's a mockery, and it is wrong. And really, I've heard people compare it to blackface. And honestly, at first I didn't know if I would go that far as to say that, but it really is. And when somebody does blackface, it is super offensive. It is not okay to make fun of somebody by dressing up as them like that, or to insult someone by dressing up as them like that. And when you have people like Dylan Mulvaney who are dressing up as women, not even women, little girls, okay? Let's be real here. It's perverted. He's dressing up as a little girl, skipping around, pretending to be 6 sometimes. It is. It's a form of women face because it is insulting to women. It is degrading to women. It is pushing women out of their, I don't want to say safe spaces because that's such a woke term, but a woman should be able to go into a bathroom. I should be able to walk into Target, use the bathroom, and not wonder, is there a dude in here? Or if I don't go to gyms or anything or public pools or anything, but if I did, I should be able to walk into a locker room, shower, change, and not look around and wonder if there's a creepy, horny man watching me, because there should not be. There should be security keeping men out of women's bathrooms. I don't care how they identify. Anyway, she seems very interesting, so I pulled up a New Zealand, New Zealand Herald article about her just to read so we can kind of get an idea of who she is, because I think that while I don't agree with everything she talks about, I think that she is a positive force right now in the taking back womanhood movement. So let's see what New Zealand Herald has to say about her. Probably not positive, but we'll see. In the past few days, Kelly J. Minshall, also known as Posie Parker, has dominated headlines on both sides of the ditch. The British activist, widely labeled as anti-transgender and self-described as a women's rights activist, rose to infamy in 2018 when it was reported she was questioned by police over alleged comments she made about Susie Green, the chief executive of Mermaids. an advocacy organization for trans youth, and her daughter who transitioned. Some of these alleged comments, according to the Christian Post, include tweets misgendering Green's daughter and referencing castration about her transition. The same year, Women's Place UK, an anti-gender self-identification group, distanced itself from Keen Minshall by withdrawing a meeting she was due to speak at after she wrote a series of tweets containing anti-Muslim sentiments. Some of the posts reference the suburb of Bradford and claims the culture was not British, an awful place for women. In 2019, Pink News reported the then U.S. National Press Secretary for LGBT plus organization, there's no Q at the end, that's funny, usually they had the Q, organization Human Rights Campaign, Sarah McBride, was harassed and misgendered while at a meeting in Washington, D.C. by Keen Minshall. Minshall? I'm not sure how she says her name. I should have looked it up. The outlet said she told McBride to tell the entire LGBT community how much you hate lesbians. Keen Minshall, who has spoken about being a wife and mother of four, since risen to be a key figure in the movement against UK's Gender Recognition Act and has led rallies on both sides of the Atlantic. In March last year, she appeared on a controversial right-wing Fox host Tucker Carlson's show to speak about an incident where she called trans U.S. swimmer Leah Thomas not a woman. I'm not a vet, but I know what a dog is, she said in a poolside clip. Speaking to Carlson, she said it was her duty to say it and people had been brainwashed. The only people that are able to be called women are actually men. Most recently, Pink News reported in January a woman speaking at a rally organized as part of Keen Minshall's Let Women Speak tour shared a quote from Adolf Hitler in a speech against trans rights. A video seen by the Herald shows the woman describing the big lie, saying it was first described in Hitler's Mein Kampf, and then claiming the big lie was that trans women were women. Last week, Keen Minshall drew protests in Perth and Melbourne, with some people at the event seen and giving Nazi salutes and shouting slurs at counter-protesters. I don't know how much of this is true. And also, I haven't seen any videos of this, but I will say that there are sometimes people show up at protests and act ridiculous. And those are the people that they catch on camera and say, look, everyone at the protest was doing this. Look at all of this. Not saying that was the case. Maybe they all were doing that. But don't forget that the news likes to take the most dramatic thing that they can find, take a picture of that, and show it to you. Look at January 6th as an example. Anyway, let's go back through here. In light of the weekend's events, Immigration New Zealand manager Richard Owen told the Herald the agency was now reviewing whether the woman should still be able to travel to New Zealand without a visa. Wellington Mayor Tori Wanhu told the Herald Keen Minshall's views are strongly condemned and unwelcome in Wellington. Wanhu said although she cannot ban Keen Minshall from speaking, she'll support a counter-protest against her. Wellington is known as a diverse community that celebrates its rainbow and trans wanaho, she said. Her views certainly are not welcome. So the view that a woman is a woman and the only people who are women are the ones that were born with the chromosomes that make them women. Women don't have penises and women are not men and men are not women. That view is not welcome in New Zealand. So if you're a cisgender male or female, you're not welcome in New Zealand, apparently. If you're a traditional person and you believe in traditional marriage and the traditional family, you are not welcome in New Zealand. Your views are not welcome. So I can see why people are saying boycott New Zealand. These views are dangerous and harmful for our community, and I'm worried people are being so open about hating part of our community. We know with our trans wanahu that there is quite a high suicide rate, and that's because they're made to feel less human. No, it is not. If you look at any freaking studies on transgender, especially children, the high suicide rate comes with effing around with their hormones, chopping off body parts, traumatizing their body into shock before it's even able to process what is happening to them. I get really aggravated about this stuff because I obviously disagree with the lifestyle. I am a Christian. I don't agree with transgender lifestyle. I don't agree with the homosexual lifestyle either. However, I say a grown adult can make a decision that a grown adult's going to want to make. Do I want a grown adult to go out there and chop off their penis and say that they're a woman? No, that I don't. That's not good for their body. That's going to harm them in the long run. And I would advise them against it. But they are a grown adult, especially in America, where you have the freedom to do things. Okay? If you want to go mutilate yourself, that's on you. I warned you. That's on you. Go do it. Don't say I didn't say something about it. But when you take children whose frontal lobes have not fully developed, your frontal lobe, I believe, right, doesn't even fully develop until you're 25. In the years from when I was 18 to I'm almost 25. So from there to there, I have changed so much as a person. So I can't even imagine taking a child who says, Mommy, I think I'm a girl. I like to wear pink. Saying, okay, let's chop everything off. So from, let's just go with a 4-year-old to 25. They're going to change 100 times over in their life. When I was 4, I acted differently than when I was 10. When I was 10, I acted differently than when I was 15. When I was 15, I acted differently than when I was 18. And when I was 18, I acted very differently than after I was 20, was a parent, and now knew a new responsibility as a married mother. And I can't imagine hitting that age where, you know, supposedly my brain is fully developed now and this, and this. I still will change, I'm sure, in my personality and my behavior and what I think about myself until the day I die. That is just humanity. So you can't, that's what makes me angry. If you're an adult, whatever, go do what you're going to do. I warned you. But you cannot take a child and you cannot chop parts off of them and expect them to grow up mentally stable. I am sorry. I'm not sorry. It's ridiculous. It's harmful. And I keep bringing this up, but I did. I wrote a whole thing about it on Substack. I wrote about John Money. I wrote about Alfred Kinsey and the gender movement and how harmful it actually is to society because of the intent behind these men doing it. It was not a, oh, you think you're a girl, let's help you out and make that happen. Let's make your wish come true. It was a deep-seated, creepy, sexual movement. And it harmed a lot of people. And yes, it does end in a lot of suicides. Yes, it does end in a lot of trans men, women, and children, unfortunately, taking their lives, right? It is not for the reasons they say it is. If you listen to any detransitioner, they will tell you about the mental agony that they have gone through because of the hormones being pumped into their bodies. I can't imagine. I mean, even you take a breast cancer survivor who's had to have mastectomies or double mastectomies, that traumatizes them. That traumatizes women. As a woman, I can't imagine going through that. And I can't imagine intentionally going through that. Nobody who has breast cancer says, yes, I want my breasts to be cut off. It's an emotional journey for them, and it's traumatizing for them. And they know this has to be done or this could kill me. Who on earth chooses when they have perfectly, what is it? Princess Bride, there's a perfect shortage of fine breasts in the world. I wouldn't cut off yours, or whatever he says. Like, you could use that quote for this. Because seriously, when you have perfectly healthy and functioning body parts, why would you just cut them off? It doesn't make any sense other than attention. That is the thing, is we have all of these children who are being pressured in their schools. They're being told, well, if you do this, you will get attention. You'll be part of the club. And the minute that they decide they don't want it anymore, they get trash talked, they get cast out of the club, and they're no longer cool. It's really terrible and it's really sad. And that wasn't a rant I meant to go into. This isn't even the dark story that I was going to go into, and I'm not going to go into that one anymore. Just because I spent a lot of time ranting about that. Hopefully it was all clear. My brain was kind of muddled while I was doing it. Let's finish this article. We know that our trans, there was quite a high suicide rate, and that is because they are made to feel less human. Views that will be heard this weekend contribute to that. It is grotesque and disappointing that it's here in our city. Yes, it's grotesque and disappointing that somebody is actually advocating for women not being attacked in bathrooms or prisons or anywhere where they feel like they should be allowed to be comfortable, they should be allowed to be vulnerable, and you want to harm them. You actively want to harm them mentally and physically by putting unsafe wolves in the sheep pen. So anyway, that was kind of a rant I didn't really mean to go into, but here we are. Let's see. There's nothing else I really wanted to go into today. There's no like crazy news or anything like that. Obviously Trump hasn't been arrested. We've looked at that over and over and over and over. So, yeah. Why is how to blow up a pipeline trending on Twitter? Just watch How to Blow Up a Pipeline. After the screening, the director mentioned a higher... Interesting. I guess that's a thing. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Joe Biden supplied to counter terrorism advisors for the movie How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Ironic. Interesting. I'll have to look into that because I'm not just going to sit here and scroll and try and figure out what it is and make you watch me just kind of go grrr. So I guess that's trending. And that okay. And Then There Were None is trending. I'm extremely angry about this. Probably more than I should be. I'm gonna pull it up. Agatha Christie's novels reworked to remove potentially offensive language. Poirot and Miss Marple mysteries have passages edited by sensitivity readers for the latest HarperCollins editions. I really just am done with the sensitivity thing. If you can't handle potentially being offended by something, then you probably should close your laptop, shut your TV off, because we're going to hit a point where we're going to get to the point where you can't watch anything. Like, I think, so someone's probably going to get annoyed with me for this, but I hate VidAngel. I think it's like, I guess it has its benefits where you can like edit out, you can watch Deadpool, let's say Deadpool, which is known for like, you know, there's a lot of language in that, there's scenes in that. Deadpool is definitely not a family friendly movie. You could take Deadpool and you can go through their filter and say, take out every instance of this phrase. You can take out every instance of sex. You can take out every instance of nudity. You can take out whatever you want, basically cut it down from 2 hours and 45 minutes to cut all that out. And now you have an hour and a half movie that's clean and fun for the family. I think that's kind of dumb. I think it's like, okay, if it's really just not something that's meant for the family, then maybe don't watch it as a family. And I get that there's people that want to watch things that have some stuff in it, but they don't want to put that in front of them. And I understand that. There's things that we fast forward because we're like, we don't need this in our mind. This is gross. However, I really think we're hitting a point where this super sensitive, we have to censor everything. We have to cover everything. We have to make sure everything is squeaky clean. It's getting ridiculous, and I'm meaning more in a woke way. Like, I don't have to watch a movie and follow the couple into the bedroom and see every detail of what they do in the bed to know that that's what's happening. You could just easily have it cut at the bedroom door and not see anything, and the audience is gonna know, oh, they did that. You don't have to show me every gory detail of it. Like, I think it's gross. I think it's uncouth and it's untasteful. So things like that, I understand being like, well, we should probably like edit that out or fast forward that. But when it's just culturally woke things that they want to cut out, when are we going to get to a point where you literally can't watch anything without it being chopped down like VidAngel into almost nothingness, where, hello, non-gendered person who is standing before me, who carried me in their stomach and birthed me through their canal as a birthing person. May I have this thing made with no gluten that is in the jar on the counter? It was once called a cookie, but I bet that is racist now, so we do not say it. How long till we're doing dumb stuff like that? Because everything has to be canceled, everything has to be done, everything has to be whatever. I'm not going to really like rant about that because I think I'm just rambling at this point. But I enjoyed Agatha Christie. I loved it growing up. And now every darn adaptation is going to be some sensitive Gen Z. We have to, you know what I mean? It's just frustrating to me. I'm just tired of people acting like this. There was an adaptation of And Then There Were None in 2018 with Aidan Turner in it. I should try and look that up. I loved that book. I literally read that book. It was like, it wasn't that thick, but it was kind of a dense read. I literally read that book. I stayed up all night to read it because I couldn't put it down. And I regretted it in the morning because I had to work the next day or something. But whatever, you know. We can't have nice things anymore, and it's the fault of my generation, the millennial generation. My generation is Gen Z. I'm weird. I'm one of the first Gen Zs, so I was raised with millennial siblings, and my parents, I think, are technically boomers. I think. My dad's in his 60s, so I think they're boomers. But I was raised with the millennials, and by people who raised millennials, so I didn't have a stereotypical Gen Z upbringing because millennials are the parents of Gen Z. So most Gen Zers were raised by millennials. I was not. So I had the boomer upbringing. And I think that's part of why, not like I'm the most responsible person on the planet, in the sense of I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I think that's why I had a different work ethic. I had a different sense of responsibility, and I had a different, people always thought I was older. I was like 19 with a coworker, and we were just chatting while we were cleaning up out back or something. I worked at a sandwich shop, and it was just the two of us. So we're just chatting, right, while we're cleaning. And I made a comment about my age, and he just like froze and looked at me. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're only 19. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you're seriously the same age as me? And I was like, yeah, I could show you like my driver's license. I'm 19 years old. Because he didn't believe me. And he just was blown away. And I was like, what? And he was like, well, you're married. You have a kid. You got your life together. I don't know anyone who's 19. It might have been 20 actually, but whatever. Yeah, I think I was 20. But he was like, I don't know anybody who's 20, married, has kids, has their life together. None of my friends are like that. I have a really hard time believing you're the same age as me. And I was like, no, I swear I am. Look, here's proof. Like, but that's just because I was raised by a different set of parents with a different set of generational rules and values. And this episode went really long, and I'm going to cut it here, I think. I kind of rambled a lot. I was hoping it would be a shorter one, honestly, but we're going to stop here. Hopefully all of that was coherent, and I will probably be back on Thursday. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it goes. I would like to be, because last week I was able to do 3 episodes, and that was awesome. But Mondays are weird. I try not to record on Mondays, like I said. Tuesdays, one of the best days to do it for me. Wednesdays, normally one of the best days. Thursdays, one of the best days. Fridays, we're busy. Fridays, we don't normally have enough time in the day or a quiet enough apartment for me to sit down and do this. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I generally try not to do this because it's the weekend. So we'll see if I can at least get one more in on Thursday, and if I can surprise myself and do an episode somehow tomorrow or Wednesday, I will. But until then, I will leave you all, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and a great rest of their week, and I will see everyone next time.